The music stopped in the middle of the bride's first dance. 1 second, drums and trumpets were shaking the decorated hall. The next second, silence. Nkem froze with one hand on her new husband's shoulder. More than 200 guests stared at them. Then she tried to take another step. She could not. Obinna? She pulled again. The long white train of her wedding dress remained flat against the polished floor, as if somebody behind her was standing on it. But nobody was there. A few guests laughed nervously. The laughter died when Nkem pulled harder and the dress still refused to move. Help me. Obinna took both her hands and pulled. Nothing. The MC stepped towards them. Then the microphone lying on his empty table switched on by itself. A soft hiss traveled through every speaker. A woman whispered,
Nkem.
Nkem? Nkem's face changed. Take off my dress. A champagne glass shattered. Nkem screamed. Obinna released her and stepped backwards. But what he said next frightened Mama Ugochi more than the voice. He did not ask who had spoken. He whispered, Not here. Nkem turned sharply towards him. Before she could speak, a little boy beside the bridal table pointed underneath the white cloth. Mummy, there's another shoe. People bent to look. One white bridal shoe rested beneath the table. Old-fashioned, dust around the heel. One tiny blue bead stitched inside it. Nkem looked at her own feet. She was already wearing both of her shoes. Mama Ugochi saw the blue bead and nearly collapsed. She had seen that shoe before, on another wedding morning, before one daughter died and the other became the bride. So what could a woman have done to her own sister that even the sister's wedding dress refused to let her celebrate in peace? Stay with me and subscribe, because this did not begin with the groom. It began many years before either sister knew his name. 15 years earlier, Chinaza Okuri was 14 years old and already better with a needle than many grown women. Her father, Chukwuma Okuri, owned a narrow tailoring shop behind the family compound in Enugu. It had 2 old sewing machines, a wooden cutting table, shelves of folded fabric, and a ceiling fan that shook whenever electricity returned. Papa Chukwuma believed every child should know how to make something with their hands, so on Saturday mornings he taught his daughters to sew. Chinaza loved those mornings. 10-year-old Nkem did not. She hated measurements, straight lines, and the way Papa smiled whenever Chinaza got something right. One Saturday, Papa gave both girls yellow fabric. Make me one straight line. Chinaza lowered the machine foot carefully. Her stitch came out almost perfect. Nkem's thread gathered underneath the cloth. She pulled it. The thread snapped. Ah, I cannot do it. She pushed the fabric away. Chinaza leaned towards her. Let me see. No. Nkem? I said no. Papa was helping a customer in front. Chinaza quietly turned Nkem's fabric over. You put the thread wrongly. She fixed it. Try again. Nkem narrowed her eyes. You will tell Papa? I won't. Promise? Promise. Nkem tried again. This time the machine moved properly. When Papa returned, he checked both pieces. Very good, he told Chinaza. Then he looked at Nkem's. Better. Nkem smiled proudly at Chinaza. Chinaza said nothing. Papa opened the small metal box where he kept needles and removed an old silver thimble that belonged to his own father. He placed it in Chinaza's palm. You have patience. Keep this. Nkem's smile disappeared. An ant near the doorway laughed. See, Chinaza, this girl has sense. Nkem, you better follow your sister before she leaves you behind. Everybody laughed. Everybody except Chinaza. That evening, Chinaza found Nkem sitting beside their bed with Papa's silver thimble on her finger. It was too large. Nkem quickly pulled it off. I was only looking. You can wear it. I don't want it. You do. I said I don't. Chinaza placed it back on her finger and held her hand so it would not fall. One day it will fit. Papa gave it to you. You are my sister. That night, they slept side by side, the thimble still on Nkem's finger. There was a time when jealousy had not yet learned how to speak between them. Nkem could want what Chinaza had and still love Chinaza more. But children remember what adults think they forget. Whenever Chinaza succeeded, somebody used it to correct Nkem. Can't you see your sister? Your sister would never do this. Why are the two of you so different? Chinaza noticed and began defending her. Mama, leave her. Auntie, Nkem can do other things. She's better with customers than me. Sometimes that helped. Sometimes it made Nkem feel worse. Even Chinaza's defense made Chinaza look kind. When Papa Chukuma died 2 years later, Chinaza became more responsible almost overnight. Mama Ogochi's provision store could not carry the family alone, so Chinaza began taking small sewing jobs after school. She repaired uniforms, fixed zips and hemmed wrappers. When Nkem needed exercise books, Chinaza bought them. When school fees were short, Chinaza added money from sewing. Nkem loved her sister. She also began to hate needing her. At 17, Nkem took money Mama had kept for textbooks and used part of it to buy fashionable sandals. When Mama searched for the missing money, Nkem lied. I did not touch it. That night, Chinaza entered her room. Where are the sandals? Nkem's eyes widened. What sandals? Don't do that. Silence. Then Nkem whispered, I was tired. Tired of what? Of looking like the poor one. We are both poor. No. Nkem shook her head. You know how to be poor in a way people respect. Chinaza stared at her. When you wear an old dress, people say Chinaza is humble. When I wear one, they ask why I cannot be serious like my sister. You should not have taken Mama's money. I know. We have to tell her. Nkem grabbed her hand. Please. The next morning, the money was back in Mama's envelope. Chinaza had replaced it with her own savings. Mama never knew. Nkem never had to confess. Years later, Chinaza would remember that kind of protection differently. By then, it would be too late. By the time Chinaza was 27, Papa's old shop was closed and dusty. Mama could not bear to rent it out. Chinaza had opened a brighter shop along a busy road. Chinaza Bridals and Alterations. It was not a rich woman's business, but brides trusted her. She could make ordinary fabric look expensive, and she never humiliated women who could not pay everything at once. Her apprentice, Amara, was 22, and quiet enough that people often forgot she was listening. Nkem's life moved differently. She tried salon work, ushering, cosmetics, online fashion, and event promotion. She was beautiful, funny, and good with people. But she wanted success quickly. Whenever something became slow or difficult, she lost interest. Whenever she fell, Chinaza helped. One afternoon, Nkem entered the bridal shop wearing oversized sunglasses. Chinaza looked up. What happened? Nothing. You only wear those glasses when something has happened. Amara smiled. Nkem removed them. I need 80,000. For what? Just help me first. For what? Silence. Eventually, Nkem admitted she had collected money from 3 friends for a cosmetics deal and spent part of it elsewhere. Now they wanted their money. Again? Chinaza asked. Please, don't start. I am not starting anything. This is serious. You will give me or not? Chinaza stared at her, opened a drawer and counted the money. Pay them. Nkem took it. Thank you. After this, no more covering. Nkem smiled. You always say that. That evening, Mama Ogochi heard what happened. Chinaza, you cannot keep carrying an adult woman. She is my sister. That is why she must learn. What else should I do? Mama looked at her. Sometimes protection is allowing somebody to feel the weight of what they did. Chinaza did not answer. 3 months later, Obinna Eze entered her shop for the first time carrying a damaged reception gown belonging to his cousin's bride. When is the wedding? Chinaza asked. It is Thursday. I know. Who sent you? My aunt said you perform miracles. Chinaza laughed. I don't. Please, perform one small one. She repaired the sleeve. When Obinna returned, he could not see where it had torn. How much? Chinaza told him. He paid, then noticed an envelope beside her machine. A bride had forgotten it. There was more money inside than Chinaza's repair charge. Obinna watched her call the woman immediately. You could have kept that. Why? She may never know. But I would know. That was how it started. Not with fireworks, not with a rich man rescuing a poor woman, with an ordinary conversation inside a bridal shop. Obinna returned 2 weeks later, pretending a perfectly good shirt needed alteration. What is wrong with it? Chinaza asked. It is somehow. Somehow where? He laughed. Okay, I came to see you. Their relationship grew quietly. One afternoon, Obinna noticed a small phone with a cracked corner plugged beside her machine. You still use this thing? For work. This phone looks older than both of us. Leave my phone alone. She took it from him. Some old customers still call this number. Even some of Papa's fabric suppliers still have it. You have another phone. I know. Then why carry two? Chinaza dropped it into the side pocket of her black sewing bag. Because the day I leave this one at home is the day somebody will call with money. Obinna laughed. Businesswoman. Exactly. After that, the old phone traveled almost everywhere the sewing bag went. Obinna owned 2 delivery vans and ran an event and logistics business. He was organized, ambitious, and too concerned with public embarrassment. But with Chinaza, he softened. Nkem initially liked him. She called him chairman. He called her trouble. There was no secret romance, no affair, no plan. The trouble came slowly. One evening, Nkem returned from another unsuccessful job interview and stopped outside the compound when she heard Obinna talking to Mama. Chinaza makes everywhere feel peaceful. Mama smiled. She has been like that since she was small. Nkem stood outside. Peaceful. The word entered her chest like an insult. Nobody had ever called Nkem peaceful. Beautiful, yes. Funny, lively, sharp, stubborn, trouble. Nobody had ever looked at Nkem the way Obinna looked at Chinaza. When Obinna proposed 6 months later, the family compound filled with relatives. Mama cried. Chinaza cried. Nkem screamed happily and hugged her sister. For a moment, she was truly happy. Then Mama brought out Papa's silver thimble. If your father were here, her voice broke, he would have been proud. An aunt clacked. Chinaza has always made this family proud. Another laughed. After this wedding, we will find somebody to manage Nkem. Someone added, maybe Chinaza can sew the man. People laughed. Nkem laughed with them, but something old woke up inside her. That night, Chinaza found Nkem alone. You disappeared. I was tired. You are angry. I am not. Nkem? Nkem looked at her. Do you know what it is like to stand in a room while everybody uses somebody else's happiness to remind you that your own life is not moving? I told them to stop. That is the problem. What? That you are always the good one. Even when people hurt me, you defend me. Then everybody says, see how kind Chinaza is. Chinaza was silent. You help me, and somehow I still feel smaller. I never wanted that. I know. Chinaza took her hand. I am sorry. Nkem looked at her. You did nothing. But that was not what her face said. Wedding preparations began. Chinaza designed her own gown. White satin, long sleeves, small hand-sewn beads at the neckline, a full train. Inside the lower hem, she stitched one tiny blue bead. Papa used to mark special clothes with a colored stitch where nobody noticed. When the dress was nearly finished, Nkem began spending more time at the shop. One afternoon, Chinaza left to buy thread. Amara came from the back room and stopped. Nkem was standing before the mirror, wearing Chinaza's unfinished wedding dress. Don't shout, Nkem said. Aunt Nkem, I just wanted to see. You should remove it. Nkem pinched the loose fabric around her waist. How much would you have to take in here if this dress were mine? It is not yours. I said if.
Nkem picked up the fitting ledger. Write my measurements. No, Amara. Auntie Chinaza will not like it. I am not stealing her dress. I didn't say you are. Then measure me. I want a similar one someday. Amara hesitated, then measured her. Bust, waist, hip, shoulder. At the top of the page, she wrote the date and Nkem Chinaza wedding gown reference. When Chinaza returned, Amara told her, "You wore my dress?" Chinaza asked that evening. "Only for 1 minute." "Why?" "I wanted to know how it felt." "To wear my wedding dress?" Nkem's eyes filled. "Everybody is happy for you. Is it a crime that I wondered what I would look like?" "Nkem, you could have asked. You would say no." "Of course I would say no. It is my wedding dress." Nkem laughed bitterly. "Exactly." Then she began crying. "I am sorry." Chinaza hugged her. Later, Amara whispered, "Madam, this thing is not normal. She is ashamed. She told me to write her measurements." "Leave it." "Madam, she is my sister." Amara became quiet. Chinaza touched her arm. "Let it end here." It did not. As the wedding came closer, Nkem began messaging Obinna more often. At first, it was always about Chinaza. Then one night she sent, "You are lucky." Obinna replied, "I know." Nkem typed, "Some people get everything." She deleted it. 3 days before the wedding, Chinaza and Obinna argued. Someone had anonymously sent Obinna an old screenshot in which Chinaza, 6 years earlier, had told a former boyfriend she was unsure about marriage. Nkem had found it while helping Chinaza recover old photographs. Obinna did not accuse Chinaza of cheating, but he was hurt she had never mentioned that relationship. "It ended before I knew you," Chinaza said. "I know. Then why are we fighting?" "I don't know. They ended the call badly." Chinaza called Nkem afterwards. "I don't want to enter marriage with a fight." "Nkem, he will calm down." "You think so?" "Yes." "Thank you." Nkem closed her eyes. Her sister was thanking her for comforting her over a wound Nkem herself had created. Something inside Nkem knew she had gone too far, but she did not stop. On the evening before the wedding, Nkem entered Mama's room and took Papa's silver thimble from the wooden box where Chinaza had kept it. The next morning, the compound woke before sunrise. Women cooked in large pots, music played. A generator waited outside because nobody trusted the electricity. Chinaza sat with half her hair done when Nkem appeared. "You will not believe what I found." She opened her hand. Papa's thimble. Chinaza stood. "Where?" "His shop." "I thought it was in Mama's box." "So did I." Chinaza reached for it. Nkem closed her fingers. "Come and see something else." "Nkem, I am getting married today." "It will take 2 minutes." Chinaza followed her, carrying the black sewing bag containing small emergency items for the wedding. Papa's abandoned workshop was only behind the compound. The moment Chinaza entered, memory hit her. Covered machines, the old cutting table, Papa's faded tape measure. Nkem closed the door behind them. "Where did you find it?" Chinaza asked. Nkem placed the thimble on the table. For several seconds, she said nothing. Then, "Do you love him?" "What?" "Obinna." "What kind of question is that?" "Do you?" "Yes." Nkem laughed once. "Of course." "Nkem, what is wrong?" "Nothing is ever wrong with you." "What are you talking about?" "Papa loved you more." "That is not true." "Mama trusts you more." "Nkem, people respect you more. Even the man I would have chosen for myself chose you." Chinaza stepped backwards. "What did you say?" Nkem looked away. "You like Obinna?" "I don't even know anymore." "My fiancé?" "You see?" "What?" "You even said it like that. My fiancé." "Because he is." "I know." Nkem struck the table. "That is what I know every day." Chinaza stepped backwards. "How long?" "It doesn't matter." "It matters. You have everything." "I do not have everything. You have the one thing I wanted." "You never told me." "Would it have changed anything?" Chinaza's face tightened. "No." Nkem laughed. "Exactly. That is not cruelty. I love him, and I am tired of losing. This is not a competition. It has always been a competition. Only to you." The words landed badly. Chinaza immediately regretted them. Nkem, no, for once you said what you really think. Nkem opened the rear storeroom. Your old photograph is inside. I don't care about any photograph. Just take it. Something felt wrong, but Nkem was already crying. Chinaza entered. The door slammed. The key turned. Nkem, no answer. Chinaza pulled the handle. Locked. Nkem. Outside, Nkem leaned against the door. Nkem, open this door. Not yet. What are you doing? You will stay here. For what? Just until it is too late. Too late for what? The church. Chinaza understood. You want me to miss my wedding? You will be fine. Open this door. Maybe Obinna should feel what it feels like when the person he chose disappoints him. Chinaza reached for her main phone. Gone. Nkem, give me my phone. Silence. You took my phone.
Nkem walked away, carrying Chinaza's phone in one hand and the brass key in the other. She told herself she would return. 20 minutes, 30 at most. Enough for panic, enough for embarrassment, enough for questions. She did not intend to kill her sister. That mattered to her then. Later, it would not be enough. The generator came on. Lights flickered in the abandoned workshop. Somewhere behind the old wall, a wire sparked. At first, it was only a smell. Burning plastic. Chinaza stopped shouting. Nkem? A thin line of smoke pushed through a crack near the ceiling. She hit the door harder. Nkem? Then she remembered the black sewing bag lying beside the old fabric rolls. She pulled it towards herself and searched inside. Thread, scissors, tape measure. Then the small, cracked business phone, the one Obinna always teased her about. The battery was low, but it came on. She tried Mama. No answer. She tried Obinna. The signal would not hold. Her hands shook as she opened the messaging app and pressed record. Outside, Nkem had almost reached the compound when she heard the banging. Then Chinaza screamed her name. Nkem! Nkem turned and ran back. Smoke had begun to leak beneath the workshop roof. She rushed to the rear door. Inside, Chinaza coughed. Nkem, please! Nkem lifted the brass key. Her hand shook. She moved towards the lock. Then voices came from the compound. Nkem! An aunt. Where's the bride? Another voice. Have you seen Chinaza? Nkem froze. If she opened the door now, Chinaza would come out. She would tell everyone. The screenshot, the stolen phone, the locked room, the sabotage. Obinna would know. Mama would know. Everybody would know. For once, Chinaza would not cover for her. Inside, Chinaza hit the door again. Nkem, please! Nkem began crying. Her hand moved towards the lock. Then Chinaza said something that should have saved her. My sister, please! My sister. Nkem closed her eyes. She stepped backwards. Nkem! Another step. Nkem! Then she turned and walked away. That was the moment jealousy stopped being a feeling. That was the moment it became a choice. By the time people discovered the smoke, the compound was already in confusion. Men forced the workshop open. Chinaza was taken out, alive but unconscious. The wedding never happened. She died later that day. White decorations remained outside while mourners began arriving. Mama Ugochi sat on the floor. Papa's silver thimble was missing. One of Chinaza's white bridal shoes had been found near the storeroom entrance. The second, nowhere. Nkem cried harder than anyone. Because grief makes people want simple answers, people accepted the first explanation that sounded possible. Chinaza had gone into her papa's old workshop. An electrical fault had caused smoke. A terrible accident. Then rumors began. Somebody remembered Chinaza had argued with Obinna. Someone said perhaps she was afraid of marriage. At the funeral, one woman whispered, maybe she was not ready. Mama heard. She stood so fast her chair fell. My daughter did not run from her wedding. Nkem heard too.
She could have stopped the rumor. She could have said, Chinaza did not run. I locked her there. Instead, she lowered her head and cried. Obinna barely spoke throughout the burial. That night, alone in his car, he reopened a message he had received on the wedding morning. The number had looked familiar. Now he remembered. Chinaza's old business number. He had seen the message earlier while the church was waiting, and anger from their argument still sat inside him. He had ignored it. Now he pressed play. Chinaza's frightened voice filled the car. Obinna, Nkem locked me in Papa's back room. She took my main phone. My old work phone was still inside my sewing bag. There's smoke. Please tell Mama I did not leave you. Nkem has the key. Please. The message ended. Obinna sat completely still. Then he played it again and again. The next morning he called Nkem. They met inside his car. He held up the phone. What is this? Nkem listened. Her face lost color. You locked her there? It was not like that. What does that mean? I wanted her to miss the wedding. You locked her in a room. I was coming back. You came back. And? Obinna stared. And? The smoke had already started. So you opened it. Silence. Nkem. I was scared. You heard her. Nkem cried harder. Yes. Obinna opened the car door. Get out. Please, get out. For 3 days, Obinna carried the message on his phone. He told himself he would go to Mama. Then he thought about the scandal. Nkem being arrested. Mama losing both daughters. Chinaza being dead no matter what he did. Then Nkem called. I'm going to tell Mama. He said nothing. I cannot carry it. Silence. She already lost Chinaza. If I tell her I did this... Obinna closed his eyes. You know I didn't mean to kill her, Nkem whispered. That sentence became the door Obinna walked through. He did not forgive Nkem. He did something weaker. He accepted uncertainty where there was none. Weeks became months. Mama grew quieter. Chinaza's bridal shop remained closed. Amara sometimes went there to clean. One afternoon, she found the fitting ledger. Nkem's measurements, the date, 9 days before Chinaza died. Nkem, Chinaza wedding gown reference. Amara remembered Nkem inside the dress. She remembered Chinaza saying, "She is my sister. Let it end here." Amara closed the book and kept it.
Meanwhile, Nkem became the person who checked on Obinna. At first, he avoided her. Then grief made loneliness heavy. They shared something nobody else knew. That secret tied them together in an ugly way. The first real boundary broke on Chinaza's birthday. Obinna parked across from the closed bridal shop and sat there after dark, staring at the sign, Chinaza Bridals and Alterations. Nkem called twice. He did not answer. The third time, he answered silently. "Where are you?" She understood. 20 minutes later, she appeared beside his car. "You should go home," Obinna said. "So should you." Nkem entered the passenger seat. For several minutes, neither spoke. Then Obinna said, "I still hear that message." "So do I." He turned sharply. "You caused it." Nkem lowered her eyes. "I know. She should be inside there." "I know. She should be here." Nkem began crying. "I know." Obinna looked at her. "Maybe we are the only two people still living inside that morning," she whispered. "Don't make yourself the victim." "I'm not. Everybody else lost Chinaza once. You and I lose her every time we remember what really happened." That sentence should have made him angry. Instead, it made him feel understood. Nkem reached for his hand. He pulled away. "Don't. I'm sorry." He should have told her to leave. He did not. Nothing romantic happened that night, but something more dangerous did. Obinna allowed the woman connected to Chinaza's death to become the person who comforted him about Chinaza's death.
After that, the distance became easier to cross. They spoke more often, then met, then comforted each other. Eventually, the very secret that should have kept them apart became what held them together. Mama noticed. One evening she told Nkem, "Leave that man alone. We are only talking. That was your sister's husband-to-be. She is dead, Mama." She slapped her. "Do not use those words to make yourself comfortable." Nkem walked away, but she did not leave Obinna. 10 months after Chinaza's death, Obinna told Mama he wanted to marry Nkem. Mama stared at him. "No." "Mama, no." Nkem entered. "We did not plan this." Mama laughed without humor. "You people never plan anything. You wait for disaster, then you explain. Do I not deserve a life because my sister died? This is not about deserving life. Then what? It is about knowing when something should shame you." The news spread quickly. Market women whispered. One afternoon, as Nkem passed 2 fabric sellers, one muttered, "See the borrowed bride." The name moved faster than gossip usually moved. Borrowed bride. At the salon, at the market, at family gatherings, online, the borrowed bride. Nkem hated it. Then she made the decision that shocked even Obinna. She would wear Chinaza's wedding dress. To honor her, Nkem said. Mama stared. "Never. The dress is just inside that box. It belongs to Chinaza. She is gone." Mama stood. "Do not say that sentence again as if death has given you permission to take what was hers. She was my sister. Then behave like one." Obinna should have ended the conversation. Instead, he said, "If wearing it will help her feel close to Chinaza." Mama looked at him. "You too?" He lowered his eyes. Mama walked out. That afternoon, Nkem carried the gown to a seamstress across town. The woman reduced the waist, adjusted the bust, and reshaped the hips. By evening, the dress fitted Nkem almost perfectly. She stood before the mirror and smiled. Let them call her borrowed bride. Tomorrow, they would see who was standing beside Obinna. The seamstress hung the gown before closing the shop. Before 7 a.m. the next morning, Nkem's phone rang. "Madame, please come." "What happened?" "Just come." Nkem arrived angry. The gown was hanging exactly where they had left it, but all the alterations had come undone. Not torn, undone. The waist had returned to Chinaza's size. The adjusted stitches were loose. Pins lay neatly beneath the dress. The seamstress touched the fabric. "Madame, I stitched this thing myself." "Do it again." "Maybe you should use another gown." "I said do it again." Nkem stepped closer. For one strange second, the fabric moved although there was no breeze. She stepped back, then hardened her face. "Do it again." The seamstress obeyed. That night, Nkem locked the gown inside her wardrobe. Hours later, scratch, scratch. Nkem opened her eyes. "Who is there?" Nothing. She switched on the light. The room was empty. She opened the wardrobe. The gown hung motionless. One loose white thread lay on the floor. Another dropped. Then another stitch loosened. Nkem grabbed the dress. "And you are mine now." Silence. Then she heard a soft sound from inside the wardrobe. A woman exhaling. Nkem slammed the door. She did not sleep again. She told nobody, because admitting the dress frightened her meant admitting something worse. Perhaps Chinaza had not given it up. Perhaps the dress still remembered who it had been made for. Amara heard about the gown and went directly to Mama with the fitting ledger. Mama opened it. Her eyes stopped on the date. "What is this?" Auntie Nkem wore the gown before Chinaza's wedding. "Before Chinaza died?" "Yes, she told me to measure her." Mama's hands shook. That evening, Nkem entered Nkem's room. The gown hung from the wardrobe. Inside an open jewelry box, Mama saw Papa's silver thimble. Beneath it lay the old brass workshop key. When Nkem returned, Mama was waiting. The thimble and key rested on the bed. "Where did you get those?" Nkem asked. "You tell me. I found them after the accident." "Where?" "I don't remember." "You kept your father's thimble for almost a year and said nothing?" "I forgot." Mama lifted the key. "And this?" I told you I found them. Where? Why are you questioning me like police? Mama looked at her daughter. For the first time, fear entered where trust had been. Nkem, what happened that morning? Nkem laughed angrily. You have decided I killed her because I am marrying Obinna. I did not say that. You did not have to. Mama showed her the ledger. You wore Chinaza's gown before she died. So, you wanted it before. I wanted a dress like it. Mama whispered, tell me the truth. Nkem moved towards the door. I am getting married tomorrow. Nkem, if you cannot be happy for me, stay home. For 1 second, Nkem almost turned back. Almost. Instead, she left. The next morning, the alterations had been done twice. This time, the gown fitted. While the seamstress adjusted a sleeve, one white thread pulled itself free. Both women froze. The seamstress caught it. Another appeared. Then another. Old dress, she said. Neither believed that anymore. Nkem looked into the mirror. For 1 second, Chinaza seemed to be standing behind her. Nkem turned. Nobody. When she put her hand inside the gown pocket, something cold touched her fingers. Papa's silver thimble. She dropped it. She had left it on Mama's bed. Nkem shoved it into her handbag. At the church, nothing happened. The vows were said. Obinna placed a ring on her finger. People clapped. Mama did not. Then came the reception. Grand Crest Event Center. Flowers, lights, music. More than 200 guests. Some came because they loved the couple. Others came because they wanted to see the borrowed bride. Nkem knew. That was why she smiled harder. She wanted them to see that she had won. During the first dance, Obinna placed one hand around her waist. Nkem looked towards the table where some market women sat. Then the music stopped. She tried to move. The dress held her. The microphone switched on. Nkem, the hall froze. Take off my dress. Nkem screamed. Obinna stepped backwards. Not here. Then the little boy pointed under the bridal table. Another shoe. Mama saw the blue bead. She had kept Chinaza's one surviving bridal shoe inside a box at home. The second had never been found. Until now. This is nonsense, Nkem said. Nobody answered. The gown suddenly released her. She stumbled. You
No.
at the DJ, she shouted.
I did not do
The young man
anything.
raised both hands.
You played that
I did
voice.
not do anything.
No, Ma.
You played
Who
that
gave
voice.
you that recording?
No, Ma. Who gave you that recording? Nothing was playing from my system. Nkem laughed wildly. Somebody wants to embarrass me.
Embarrass me.
Mama
Nkem.
stood. Nkem, she walked towards the dance floor. Take that dress off. You too?
You too?
Take it
Take
off.
it off. No.
No.
That
dress is not yours. Nkem looked around. Everybody was watching. It is my sister's dress. My sister loved me. If she were alive, she would give it to me. A snapping sound came from the gown. One seam opened near Nkem's shoulder. Nobody touched it. Another loosened at the waist. Someone whispered, Jesus. Stop looking at me, Nkem shouted. Mama stepped closer. You said you never wanted this dress before Chinaza died. I didn't. Amara stood at the back of the hall, holding the fitting ledger. Nkem saw her. Sit down. Amara kept walking. I said, sit down. She stopped beside Mama and opened the book. This is your measurement. Amara read the date. 9 days before Chinaza died. Nkem laughed. So what? You told me you never wore that gown. I tried it. You lied. That does not mean anything. Amara said, you told me to measure how much we would remove if the gown became yours. You are lying. I wrote it that day. Nkem turned to the guests. You see, because I married Obinna, everybody wants to make me a criminal. Mama brought out Papa's brass key. The moment Nkem saw it, her breathing changed. What did this open?
Nkem said nothing. What did this open? You know. Say it. Papa's shop. The back room? Nkem swallowed. Why was it inside your jewelry box? I found it. Where? I don't remember. Nkem, I told you I don't remember. Then Obinna's phone began ringing. The screen showed no caller name. The ringing stopped. A woman's breathing came through the speakers. Obinna's face went white. No. Nkem looked at him. What? He pressed the side button. Nothing stopped. Then Chinaza's voice filled the hall. Obinna? Mama covered her mouth. Nkem locked me in Papa's back room. Nkem took my main phone. My old work phone was still inside my sewing bag. Guests began standing. There is smoke. Nkem covered her ears. Turn it off. Please, please tell Mama I did not leave you. Nkem has the key. Please. The recording ended. Nobody moved. Nkem slowly turned towards Obinna. You had that? His mouth opened. No words. You had that? Mama looked at him. Obinna? You heard my daughter say this? He lowered his eyes. When? Silence. When? The night after she died. A human sound moved through the hall. Shock. Mama staggered backwards. You knew? I confronted Nkem. Shut up, Nkem screamed. Something inside Obinna finally broke. She told me she locked Chinaza in there. The hall exploded with voices.
You liar, Nkem shouted. She said it was supposed to make her miss the wedding. You agreed nobody should know. Mama turned towards Obinna. He closed his eyes. That was enough. Nkem pointed at him. He knew and still married me.
Because you told me you went back. I did. You left her there. Nkem stopped. Mama stared. You went back? Nkem realized what she had admitted. No. Obinna looked at her. You told me you went back with the key. No. You said you heard her. Stop talking. Mama whispered. You heard Chinaza calling? No. Then a faint smell moved through the hall. Burning plastic. There was no fire, no smoke from the kitchen. A thin grey mist appeared around the dance floor. The gown tightened. Nkem gasped and tried to walk. Her legs moved. The dress did not. Help me! Nobody moved. Obinna! He stepped backwards. The white bridal shoe slid slowly from beneath the table. No hand touched it. It stopped in front of Nkem. A woman breathed through the microphone. Nkem began crying. Chinaza! The light dimmed. At the far end of the dance floor, beneath the flower arch, a woman stood in white. Calm face. No blood. No burns. No wounds. Chinaza looked exactly as she had looked on the morning she was supposed to marry Obinna. Mama made a broken sound. Naza. Chinaza looked only at Nkem. I am sorry, Nkem whispered. Chinaza said nothing. Naza, I am sorry. The microphone carried Chinaza's voice. I called your name. Nkem closed her eyes. You came back. Nkem began sobbing. You had the key. Please. I called your name because I still believed my sister would come back. Something inside Nkem collapsed. Not her body, the lie. She dropped to her knees. I did not want you to die. Mama cried silently. I only wanted you to miss the wedding. Nobody interrupted. I took Papa's thimble. I told you it was in the shop. Amara began crying. I locked you inside. Nkem looked at the floor. I took your phone. Obinna covered his face. When I heard you shouting, I came back. Mama's hands shook. I had the key. And you opened it? Mama whispered. Nkem could not answer. Nkem, no. The word was almost silent. I heard people coming. So? I knew everybody would know.
Mama stared at her daughter. You left her? I thought somebody else would find her. You left her? Yes. The word tore out of Nkem. Yes. Silence. I heard her calling me. She looked towards Chinaza. I heard you. The ghost did not move. Nkem whispered, and I walked away. The confession sat in the middle of the wedding hall. Nothing could take it back. Phones were already recording. Someone near the door had called the police. Nkem looked around. The same people she wanted to impress were staring at her. The same women who called her the borrowed bride now understood what had truly been borrowed. Not only a dress, a wedding, a man, a dead sister's place. Then the gown changed. The seams began loosening, slowly, one after another. Beads dropped onto the floor. The fitted waist opened. The outer skirt released. Nkem screamed and grabbed herself, but beneath the gown she remained fully covered in the simple white inner slip the seamstress had dressed her in. There was no injury, only removal. The magnificent bridal shape fell around her. The borrowed bride stood inside it, wearing something plain. Mama walked towards the fallen gown. Mama, Nkem cried. Mama picked up Chinaza's dress and held it against her chest. You are the only person I have. Mama looked at her. No. Nkem froze. I had 2 daughters. Mama looked towards Chinaza. Truth did not become wicked because one of them died. Nkem covered her face. Obinna removed his wedding ring. For several seconds it refused to move. Then a sharp crack sounded. The ring split and dropped to the floor. Chinaza finally looked at him. Obinna began crying. I am sorry. You heard me too. He lowered his head. That was all she gave him. No forgiveness, no curse, just truth. Police officers arrived before Nkem could leave. Nobody needed to chase her. Too many people had heard the confession. Amara handed over the fitting ledger. Mama gave them the brass key. Obinna surrendered his phone. Nkem looked once more towards the flower arch. Chinaza was gone. Only Papa's silver thimble remained on the floor. Mama picked it up. Then she looked beneath the bridal table. The old white shoe had disappeared. It never returned. Months later, Mama Oguchi and Amara reopened Chinaza's bridal shop. They did not turn it into a shrine. They turned it into an apprenticeship room where girls without money could learn sewing. Papa's silver thimble rested beside a childhood photograph of Chinaza and Nkem sitting together outside the old tailoring shop. Back when one sister could want what the other had without wanting the sister gone. Chinaza's wedding dress was folded inside a wooden chest. Mama never allowed anyone to wear it again. Nkem's jealousy began as pain, but pain alone did not kill Chinaza. Choice did. One selfish choice became another, until a sister heard another sister begging for life and still protected herself. And Obinna proved something else. Silence can join a crime, even when the silent person did not begin it. So if telling the truth would cost you the last person in your family, would you still choose truth? Tell me what you think in the comments, and subscribe to African Stories by Isaac for more African tales, African stories, African folk tales, and African revenge stories, where buried secrets always find their way back into the light. The end.